Hey, chances are if you're watching this video, you're probably wondering how to find the right career for me. In today's video, I give you the 4 questions that you must ask to find the right career for yourself. So before we start this video, you probably fit in one of these 2 categories. One, if you're struggling to find your career, let me know in the comments, how are you currently trying to find your dream career? And second, if you found it, let me know what was your process of finding that perfect career for yourself. And as always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that like button so it can boost the motherfucking algorithm so this can spread all across the interwebs. What's going on? It's your boy, Kevin Yee, the Farm D, aka Kevin the Refugee. Surprisingly, on my email list, I get a lot of emails asking about career changes. I have my boy Jason today. I have my boy Tyler. I have my boy Kevin as well. Shout outs to all y'all who sent me those emails. Even though one is thinking about leaving their job, another person is thinking about being a pro gamer, and the other one is actually thinking about doing pharmacy or sales. They all have one question. They're trying to find something that kind of makes them feel fulfilled and find the right fit for them. And I can't blame people for feeling lost. Like, for a long time, like I wake up every day, I was like, you know what, doing pharmacy does not light me up anymore. So I would actually go on Google, and what do most people say? Oh, they either tell you, hey, follow your passion, or it's the other thing where they're like, screw your passion, just focus on what pays the most money because that will take care of your bills. And the truth is, both of these type of strategies kind of suck. If you completely follow your passion, you're going to struggle with cash flow, and you're going to feel trapped not having money, not having opportunities at your fingertips. If you choose something that pays a lot of money that you freaking hate, chances are you're going to either go through burnout, you're going to hate it, and probably quit earlier than you actually really want to. So ideally, you want something that kind of satisfies all these needs. And it wasn't until I discovered this concept of the Ikigai. And in my previous video, I actually mentioned the Ikigai test, which I recommend you guys to take. And no, Ikigai is not some sort of like fancy sushi dish or anything like that. It's actually a very practical method of finding what fulfills you, what will pay the bills, what you love, and what the market actually needs. It's a great blend of the woo-woo and the realistic practical strategies. I didn't really know how to use it at that time. If you don't know, the concept of Ikigai is really the intersection of those few things that I mentioned earlier. So my goal today in today's video is to give you those 4 questions based off your Ikigai with specific tools to find the answers to those questions as well. And chances are, if you're missing any one of these core 4 pillars, then you will not be happy, or you won't be able to afford your electricity bill, water bill, or internet bill for anything at all. Anyways, let's transition onto those 4 questions that I was talking about not too long ago. By the way, before I start this video, I wanted to give a lot of credit to a few people. My first online mentor, Ramit Sethi, I actually learned a lot of these things from his Dream Job program. I want to thank my friend Rich Nish for introducing the concept of Ikigai and kind of making me think a lot more about it. Third person I want to thank is my really good friend Tom. Over the last few years, we've been really trying to figure out, why do we like certain things, why do we not like certain things, and he's given me a lot of tips to kind of find my direction, to help me find my Ikigai in my life as well. So I just want to thank those people. Their info will be in the description, so make sure to follow them. So let's get on to questions. Question number 1, you need to ask yourself, what am I good at? I know, being Asian and whatnot, myself, it was kind of frowned upon saying that you're good at anything, right? There's that humbleness, right? Where you always know that there's improvements. But one of the things that we kind of forget is that there are some things that we're just naturally better than other people, right? It's just like with sports. Some people are the people who tend to be really tall, have long limbs, really do well in things like basketball, right? Short, stocky dudes like myself tend to do really well at powerlifting or wrestling or those type of things, right? This goes the same for our abilities and all that as well. And rather than just ask yourself, what am I good at, Kevin? and then just sit there with a blank face, like, and then sitting there with a blank piece of paper, just being like, I'm not good at anything. Let me give you some tools of how to kind of find what you're really good at. First tool that I would recommend is something like a StrengthsFinders 2.0 test. Now, I've talked about this multiple times, but this is by far my favorite test because it identifies your top 5 themes that you're really great at, your signature themes. So what I love about this test is that, for example, if you get Achiever and I get Achiever, they're not going to read out the same thing. Each one is a custom fingerprint based off your strengths, and it'll tell you where to focus on. Now, if you upgrade to the highest package, which I highly recommend, it actually gives you different careers to kind of consider as well. So I think it's a great way to identify, hey, what should you focus on? That's when I realized the 2 type of traits that I really strongly relate with is relationship building and strategic thinking. I'm not an execution type of guy. I'm sure you can tell I don't always upload my videos on time, but I should really focus on building those relationships to find those right people as well. So I think that's the thing, right? It'll help you on your interviews. It'll help you communicate your value to people and articulate it. I think it's one of the best tools for a unique selling proposition as well. So that's the first thing. Second thing is ask your friends what you're great at, or more importantly, start taking down or writing down, what do your friends ask you advice about? So one of the things I always ask when you subscribe to my email list, shameless plug, make sure to do that. But by subscribing to Kevin and Refugee Hustle, what are you hoping to get, right? Or what are some of the biggest things that you believe Kevin can help you out with, right? You kind of want to take note of these things. Of course, it's really awkward when you directly ask someone like, hey, what are you good at, right? But it helps you get over that kind of humbleness that we have as Asian people. And maybe you're not Asian watching this, so you don't have this problem, but it gives you an outside perspective of what you're really great at and what problems they think you can solve. And finally, the third thing is take an Ikigai test. Now, out of the 3, the Ikigai test is probably my least favorite because it's very broad and stuff, and it's not always super accurate, but it will give you a good general idea of some of your strengths if you can't afford a StrengthsFinder test. But really, at the end of the day, I would really stick to your StrengthsFinder 2.0 and ask your friends. Invest your time and money on things that are going to help you articulate your value to future employers, or if you want to start a business, to your future customers. Question number 2, you need to ask yourself, what does the market need? So this is really important. So basically what you're asking is, what is the market paying for? Is there actual demand for this particular career, job, or business that I'm trying to open up? You know, one of the things that really bothers me right now is when people recommend a career like pharmacy when it's pretty clear that the data says that there's no market demand for pharmacists. You could be good at something, you probably love doing it and all that, but if there's no market and if people aren't paying for your services or your job, then you're straight out of luck and you can't even afford to pay the electricity bill. So make sure you do your market research ahead of time. Again, if you're kind of like, oh, shoot, Kevin, how do I figure out the market demand? Say no more, fam, I got you. There's 3 type of resources that I really like. The first one's actually my favorite. I forgot who mentioned it on the stream, but you know, every year US News actually puts out the 100 best jobs in the US. The 100 best jobs have a few things in common. They say they look for jobs that pay well, challenge us year after year, match our talents and skills, aren't too stressful, offer room to advance throughout the career, provide a satisfying work-life balance. You know, these are typically the careers that you want to go with as well, right? And so they list the top 100, and it kind of gives you a broad spectrum of your Ikigai, and it goes everywhere from software developer to physician assistant to all these different careers. Make sure to check it out. I'll leave the link below as well. And the next thing that I always recommend is something like the Bureau of Labor Statistics, right? This is actually where you can get a really great overview of a particular career or anything like that, get some quick stats. I don't know how often they update this, by the way, but they give things like, hey, what is your median pay? What is the typical entry level of education? The number of jobs, the job outlook within the next 10 years, and the employment change. So this is how I know that pharmacy is tanking and has 0% growth at the moment, and how physician assistants have a 30% growth as well. They answer all your basic questions. Highly recommend that you take a look at this. So next time your parents tell you you should do XYZ, check this first. Make sure there's a market demand first, because you might be investing all this money on a degree or something like that, only to find out when you get out there's no jobs. And that's something that scares the crap out of most people. And finally, the last thing, if you're looking for more of a freelance type of gig or more of a business to open up, or service-based business, you can actually take a look at somewhere like upwork.com/hire, which actually lists a lot of great services that are trending at the moment. Everything from sales, accounting, customer service, and specific niches within it as well. Highly recommend that you check that out. Or you can take a look at the linkedin.com/directory/jobs. Now, this used to be a lot better, but I guess they've changed a lot of things. But you can scroll down, see what pops out at you, and see what kind of jobs that you think you might like. And you can start building that list of
jobs that you might actually like. Sorry, this is Kevin in post edit, by the way. That's why I blanked out.
So the third question that you must ask yourself is, what can I get paid for? And if you can't get paid for it, you need to ask, how can I maximize my chances to get paid for this? Now, this is a big difference from the last one. The last question was about, is there a market demand for it? Now, this question is
whether you can fill that market demand in that industry.
Can you as an individual get paid for this? Does your skills, your strengths kind of fit within this job role, right? So one of the questions I love to ask is, hey, what knowledge or skills have I acquired, right? So often we forget that we pick up these random skills. One of the skills that I actually picked up in pharmacy were a lot of soft skills. It was really interesting. I actually learned how to cold call in the pharmacy and try to get people to pick up their medications or refill their prescriptions, and basically doing that. I've also learned how to do inventory management. I learned how to manage people. There was a lot of different skills that I learned in pharmacy that I never realized. If you do YouTube, you quickly realize that you have to pick up all these skills, like how to video edit it, how to project manage, some Photoshop as well. These are skills that you pick up. So really ask yourself, what things have I learned and what type of skills have I already acquired so I can increase my chances of getting paid? A more important question is, great, you have all these skills and knowledges, that's not even a word, but you have these skills and knowledge, right? What challenges have I solved in the past with this knowledge base or skills that I've acquired as well? So for example, when I went to the Asian Hustle Network event, a lot of people asked me about, how do I start off content creating? How do I start off a YouTube channel? It comes off very, very easy for me nowadays, but these are challenges that real everyday people have, right? And other than the challenges that you've probably solved in the past, you want to kind of know the roadmap of getting a job like this, right? And the third thing is, let's say if you have a specific job in mind, you want to ask, hey, can I get this job? And you should have a few lists of questions through that LinkedIn resource I gave you and that freelance resource I gave you as well from Upwork. But you can find out, can I actually get this job, and how do I maximize your chances? So you can look at things like blogs. You can look at things like subreddits. Subreddit forums are so underutilized, and you should definitely look there. Quora is a great resource, and Glassdoor as well, job boards and whatnot. So take a look at those type of things, and they'll have the requirements on there. Now, and before talking to anyone, you want to make sure that you have the basic questions to ask, right? What you want to do is go on these blogs, these subreddit forums, to ask, to be able to answer these 7 type of questions that you need. So you want to kind of know, who do they usually work for? Do they work for a director, Are they working with C-suite, like CEO type of people? Are they working with managers? What are the different subtypes of those jobs, of those niches? For example, if you want to become a digital marketer, there's so many different aspects of it. There's copywriters, there's people who specialize in funnels. The list goes on and on and on. Do you do paid traffic? You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into digital marketing. You also want to know what makes someone good at their job. What makes someone great versus good at their job. You also want to find a great example, someone in that with that job position of their resume, knowing their background, knowing their kind of history of how they cultivated this. Also, you want to know the keywords and phrases that they use within their industry. One of my really great friends who was a consultant told me the fastest way to build any sort of credibility is use the language that they use and model out and mirror their language so you can sound competent about it. And by the way, it freaking works like a charm every single time. And finally, what sort of blogs, books, websites, magazines, type of things that they subscribe to or regularly read to be in the know. For example, for CEs for pharmacy, a lot of us read things like Pharmacy Times, or maybe we read Pharmacy Letter, right? These are some of the resources that we refer to in pharmacy. So do that research. It'll give you a better idea if you can get paid for it and how to maximize your chances of getting this job. Question number 4, you must answer this question. And the question is, do I love this? Because the truth is, it doesn't matter if it pays really well. It doesn't matter if there's a market demand. It doesn't matter if you're good at it, because guess what? If you hate something, you're going to eventually quit, right? We want this to be long. We want this to be sustainable, and it's going to affect every single aspect of your life. Think about it. Let's say if you work a 40-hour work week, or you're a workaholic, you're spending 80 hours a week working on this. That's a lot of time, right? And that's a lot of time hating what you want to do for your life. So how do you figure out, do I actually love this, right? There's a few great questions that you should probably ask, like, hey, what does their job look like on a day-to-day basis? And like I said, you could go on subreddits, a lot of these different platforms to find out ahead of time before you talk to someone. But some questions that you should ask are, hey, what does the job look like on a day-to-day basis? What are best/worst parts about the job? How much do they make? How many hours do they typically work? Is there travel required? Is the work typically with a team or solo? And what's the typical career path? And a lot of these things you can either find through research or through your Strength Finder 2.0, all the research that I was talking about earlier, right? So those are some key questions that you want to have an idea for on before talking to anyone. Now, I kind of gave it away, but how do you know if these things are actually true? Well, this is where you talk to people to figure out whether it's a good fit for you or not, right? One of the things I love doing is reaching to people out directly through LinkedIn. Or if you're part of something like Agent Hustle Network, you can just put a post being like, hey, I'm actually really interested in starting a business in XYZ. Is anybody doing this? I would love to take you out to dinner, coffee, or do a quick Zoom meeting just to pick your brain for a little bit. But back to what I was saying, that's what's really worked for me. And the more personal that you can make it, the better. For example, when I like to directly reach out to people and just be like, hey, I took a look at your resume. I was really impressed about XYZ. I thought you were doing that. That's great stuff. And I shoot them a personalized video that usually gets you in the door to be able to talk to people. And what you're trying to do is like finding best and worst parts about these jobs and just really making sure that these type of things that you did research on earlier actually matches up in real life. For example, how you'd ask a question to someone when you're on a coffee meeting with them or something like that is like, hey, I heard that pharmacists don't get any lunch breaks. You know, is this actually true in the real world? Kind of walk me through your day to day. Those are the type of questions that you want to ask where You don't want to waste their time asking basic questions, but you want to make sure that you did your research and sound credible. And guess what? These relationships, you can actually build these relationships over time and get a great mentor or someone who's done it before. That is one of the biggest tips I can give you. And the third thing about, do I love this? Sometimes you can probably shadow them at work. I don't know if they're really open for it, but sometimes the best way to figure out something is just freaking doing it, or just getting a close enough where you can observe directly whether the people are happy there. Because no matter how much research that you do, there's always that element of trial and error. You're never going to get rid of it. You just have to do something like it, but you have to have the right people in your corner. And so that's why I really emphasize meeting people. And if you're curious about my story, I thought I would figure out my passion or my ikigai. I didn't know it was called an ikigai at that time, but I thought I would find something that was fulfilling just by going to school. And I thought it was pharmacy because I liked it initially. It paid really well. There was a market demand at that time and I was good at it, right? But guess what? The truth is, things change, right? Markets change, all that sort of things change as well. And so I actually transitioned over to creating a content creator on YouTube and my blog, High Ticket Sales, and really this digital remote online life that works my creative brain and business brain all the time. I don't wake up every single day like, man, I freaking hate my day. I wake up excited because it's like playing every single day for myself. And it wasn't until recently where I realized, what I'm doing kind of fits this ikigai model. So those are my basic 4 questions on how to find the best career for yourself. If you want the article version of this, well, I'm currently creating it at the moment. So link will be in the description below. And also make sure to subscribe not only to this YouTube channel, but really to Refugee Hustle. It's where I have a more intimate connection. It's literally where Tyler, Jason, and Kevin submitted their questions. Finally, is there anything that you think I really missed in this guide? Let me know in the comments your recommendation if you have anything to expand, and I'll include it in my article version and give you credit if I really like the idea. All right, that's pretty much it. I will see you guys next time. Take care. Peace.